Repeating pattern? Huh? The Pottery Shop. This is a story about a pottery teacher who watches new pieces collapse in exactly the same way over 3 market days and finally stops blaming the clay. As she questions the pressure in her own hands, she discovers that repeating patterns do not end by changing the form, but by learning the lesson and choosing again. On Monday morning, Cora opened her pottery shop before sunrise. She wedged the clay, centered it on the wheel, and began shaping a row of bowls for the weekend market. Her hands were skilled. Her shelves were full of glazes. Her apron carried 20 years of practice. Yet by noon, the first bowl had folded inward on the left side. By 1 o'clock, the second had done the same. By evening, 3 more had slumped in the exact same way. Cora stared at the ruined row and muttered, "Bad clay." So she opened a fresh bag. On Tuesday, she tried again. New clay, new sponge, new tools, different music, stronger coffee. The first bowl leaned left. The second buckled the same way. The third gave up at the rim and folded like a tired flower. Her apprentice, June, looked over from the glaze table. "That's 5 pieces in 2 days." "I can count," Cora snapped. June came closer. "They all collapse in the same place. That means this batch is flawed." June touched one of the ruined bowls. "Or something else is repeating." Cora ignored her and spent the afternoon reorganizing shelves, changing water, and sharpening trimming tools. If the outside conditions improved, surely the outcome would improve. By Wednesday morning, she was almost superstitious. She lit a candle. She opened the window. She used her favorite wheel. She even wore the blue apron she called Lucky. The clay spun. Her hands rose. The walls thinned beautifully. Then once again, the bowl caved on the left. Cora shut off the wheel and laughed once, harshly. "Unbelievable," June said quietly. "Maybe the pattern is the lesson." Cora wanted to protest, but she was too tired. All 3 days, she had changed the form around the problem. New clay, new tools, new conditions. Yet the same result kept returning, as if something unseen had been brought to every bowl. She sat down on the stool and looked at her hands. "What am I missing?" June answered from across the room. "Maybe ask a different question." "What question?" June shrugged. "When I think something is missing, I ask, what is it I'm not giving?" The room went still. Cora looked back over the 3 days. On Monday, she had rushed because she feared falling behind. On Tuesday, she had tightened because she wanted to prove herself right. On Wednesday, she had worked as if the clay were an opponent that had to obey her. She had not been giving patience. She had not been giving gentleness. She had not been giving trust. Most of all, she had not been giving attention to the pressure in her own hands. Cora placed a fresh lump of clay on the wheel. This time, she did not begin with shaping. She began with noticing. Her shoulders were tight. Her jaw was set. Her left hand pressed harder whenever she anticipated collapse. There it was. She had been bringing the memory of failure into each new bowl, and then using pressure to protect against it. The pressure itself had been causing the very distortion she feared. The world on the wheel had been reflecting the mind at the wheel. June watched in silence as Cora took a breath and loosened her grip. The clay wobbled for a moment, then steadied. "Don't force it," June whispered. "I know," Cora said. But she realized she had not known. Not really. She had thought repeating patterns meant life was happening to her. Now she saw that repetition often continues while the lesson remains unlearned. The clay was not punishing her. It was showing her the pressure she kept hiding from herself. The next bowl rose slowly. When the familiar fear came, "Here it comes, it will collapse again," Cora did not obey it. She softened her hand instead. The wall held. She shaped the rim. The bowl remained open. Tears surprised her. June smiled. "A miracle?" Cora laughed softly. "Nothing on the shelf changed." "No," June said, "but something in the potter did." That afternoon, Cora kept one of the collapsed bowls instead of smashing it. She placed it near the wheel as a reminder, not of failure, of unconscious repetition. Days later, customers admired the new row of finished bowls cooling by the window. They asked what glaze she had used, what clay she preferred, what technique made the shape so balanced. Cora answered kindly, but she knew the deeper change had nothing to do with glaze or clay. The shift had happened the moment she stopped asking, "How do I control the result?" and started asking, "What am I bringing to this?" The same shop remained. The same wheel remained. Even the same left hand remained. but the perceiver was no longer the same. And that made all the difference. May we sing, rest, and dance our way home together.